everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here. This is our fourth recap of Thanksgiving weekend of the 8 Happy Thanksgiving Marathon, whatever they called it, movies. And we're here to talk about Christmas in Notting Hill and Hall at the Holly lit up. And it's going to be fun. I'm super happy to be finished this series. It was a big, big project. And I'm Rachel Wagner, and Michelle is here.
Hi everyone.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. Bit busy this week, I have to say.
I don't know how. I don't know how I got through, because we'll also be recording non-Hallmark recap after this, and I don't know how I got through as many as I did, and I definitely don't know how you did. It's impressive.
The time difference helps. In today's midday, the majority of them got watched yesterday and this morning.
Yeah. Yesterday was a marathon day. And when I finished, I actually got caught up on Christmas movies. I was like, I feel like I deserve an award. I mean, I did it. I got caught up.
It's sort of nice having one sort of focus, because we are doing the sort of non-Hallmark ones. Yeah. So it's having a focus on just them, and then just watching the Hallmark ones for fun, then catching up kind of like the Christmas week. It was really fun. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how people manage to keep up with all of them like you.
It's been a lot, but yeah, how do you think the ones you've seen of Hallmark? How do you think the season's been so far?
I'm really excited to watch. I mean, there's a couple that I've seen in their sort of group chat, of people just really liking some, and I'm just finding time being really difficult. Sure, but I have to say, I'm so glad I get asked to do these two, because they jumped away up to the top. Not the they're in sort of the top 5 of the ones that I've seen so far. Nothing's really beaten the Santa Summit for me. I know that people are really into, what is the one, the Holiday Road or Christmas Roads?
Oh yeah, Road. Are people super into that? It was fine, but yeah, I agree. These two were a lot of fun, and it ended up working out perfect, because we were going to have you on for the Merry Scottish Christmas, and that one was fun. But I think having you on for Notting Hill is actually an even better fit. So it all worked out.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many people that I really like more than Lacey Chabert, and I really love Sarah Ramos. If she does one every year, I'll be so happy.
Same. Yeah, she was really good. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So we are talking about Christmas in Notting Hill and Hall at the Holly lit up. Yeah, so both of your favorites in these. And so Christmas in Notting Hill. And this one was on Hallmark Channel, and it's football star Graham Savoy has always been too busy for love. But when he comes home to Notting Hill for Christmas, he changes his mind after meeting the one person who has no idea who he is. And this is director Ali Liebert, writer Alex Yonks, and it stars Sarah Ramos and William Moseley. And so you were a big fan overall.
I really liked it. It was really fun. Did notice a lot of it didn't seem to be filmed in London, even though I know they did film a little bit there. It seemed like a lot of the production was in Ireland. As I think they had different sort of locations. So yeah, overall, I just thought the family dynamic was really good. I think William Moseley, another one that just has to keep doing these movies. And it's one of those ones that he pops up and you're like, why has he not done more of these movies? Why haven't we seen him in these movies before? I mean, I think he's sort of one of those actors. He did obviously played Peter Pensy in the Narnia movies, and he's sort of I wouldn't say typecast. I wouldn't say typecast, but it's he's so iconic for that role when he was a kid. And I think he played a member of the royal family in a TV show called The Royals, and he's got this sort of Prince William sort of thing about him. So I'm like, why is he not played a prince in one of these movies? You don't have to have a fake British accent.
Right.
Yeah, he already he sort of has this sort of posh dialect as well, so it would actually really work. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I really liked the family dynamic. I liked the sister dynamic. I thought it was um fun but also sort of complicated, and I liked that it wasn't just sort of um all sort of sweet and wholesome. Like there was some complication there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, overall, I was really positive on this one.
I really enjoyed it too. I said in my response tweet that I felt like it navigated a lot of landmines that can be really groan worthy for me. I felt like the relationship between the two sisters was handled really well because you know me, I don't like a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
If they're just going to be fighting, that can be a big turn off to me. But
Hmm.
I felt like it was pretty authentic here, their relationship and their the conflict that they did have, the way it was resolved, all of that. It worked for me. I liked it. And then also the whole like we live in different places, but we've fallen in love. Like that could have been really annoying, but it wasn't. It was more just like we're is this even like a possibility? Kind
Fact
of a
that
thing.
one of them is literally a millionaire, sort of.
Yeah, and famous.
Yeah, like
Yeah, and
he can afford to travel.
right. Exactly. And also the fact that it was like a valid concern, the fact that their siblings were gonna get married, you know, so like they wouldn't be able to be out of each other's lives if something went wrong. Like that was a pretty like real conflict. And so overall, a lot of these things that can be very annoying were, I thought, pretty well done.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, and I sort of, yeah, I do like the fact that I was sort of waiting for the the reveal that she'd taken the job to travel, and that
Mm-hmm.
being like a big conflict, and the fact that it wasn't.
Right.
Um, she took the job and it wasn't really mentioned again. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was really refreshing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he's famous. He can like go visit her wherever she is. It's not a big deal. In that sense. But yeah, I really loved the way they handled it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did too. Well, the big question coming out of this movie, though, Michelle, is which of the seven coats did you like the best?
I mean,
I started,
purple's my favorite color. I do love the fact that I didn't actually notice it until you tweeted it, and I was like, oh my God, she's just wearing loads of coats. And then I had went back, and I was like, oh, I can give her a pass because she does say that she's going to borrow her sister's wardrobe.
okay.
Because there's no way she would fit 12 coats in that one suitcase, let alone the rest of her clothes.
Yeah. Well, I just started to notice, well, I think it was on the third coat. It had only been about 30 minutes in, and I'm like, wait a minute here. And then I started keeping track.
Oh, so
And
fun.
yeah, I think the pink was my favorite, but I'm a pink girl, so I love pink. So, but it was funny, very classic Hallmarky that that you don't forget to take seven coats on your trip.
Just taken up by all of the coats.
Yeah, all the luggage. But yeah, and also like this was the least hurt knee I've ever seen in my life. Like he I mean, I really don't understand why he couldn't play soccer. He looked perfectly fine. Every once in a while, there'd be like a tiny little limp, but
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
like if they'd had something that was more visible, like a knee brace or
yeah, I
something
think
that,
so.
yeah, something a little bit more, because it didn't have a limp, and I know ACL tear is really brutal
Hmm.
for athletes. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was hopping around London quite well,
Hmm.
um, with no issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made the fact that another 8 months was added onto that felt a little bit unrealistic. But I
Yeah.
mean, I've never had that type of injury, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's I think they could have played up on that a little bit more.
Hmm. Yeah. But this movie did make me miss my sister lives in Manchester,
Mm.
and I miss her so much. I would love to, take a trip up over there. She got married during COVID, and try partly because of the visa and everything, and it was a nightmare. It took 3 years to get their visa. It
Ugh.
was ridiculous, but um even as she's married to a British person, it took 3 years. And uh but I keep telling her, I'm like, you need to you need to have a wedding because you never had a wedding. I'm like, have a wedding. Then dad will have to pay for all of us to go to England. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, you're missing the point. It's not
Yeah.
about you, it's about me.
Wedding and a family
Stop being
reunion
so
all in one.
selfish. Yeah, I hope I get out there to see her because I
You
miss
have
her.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be fun. That would be really fun. So yeah, so she really loves doing it was an interesting conflict because she loves doing the occupational therapy and I mean she loves doing the special ed.
Hmm.
It was an interesting conflict because she loves doing the special ed and teaching, but then she's gotten this opportunity to do this abroad thing. And she's like never done anything like that. And she's like, oh, traveling the world would be really fun. But she always makes the reliable, responsible choice.
Hmm.
And she says, oh, I've always had the choice not to.
Hmm.
So I thought that was like pretty an interesting conflict for our character of kind of what's she going to do? Is she going to do something she still enjoys? It's not like her staying and doing the special ed was like a horrible bad man of business, kind of choice. It was something she enjoyed, but is she going to take the risk and do something that she is kind of similar to Love at First Dance? The character in that movie, she could run the school, the ballet school, which she enjoys, or she could take the bigger risk and be the choreographer in England, and both of them are good choices. And I think that's true to more life, is usually we're deciding between like something good and maybe something a little more brave that's
Yeah.
also good.
Yeah. I mean, I can sort of relate a little bit. I mean, I've got a lot of like travel anxiety. I never
Mm-hmm.
really go anywhere unless it's with other people. And it might not seem a big deal to other people, but for me
Mm-hmm.
to like go down to London by myself this year was like a big deal. I'd
Yeah.
never really done that before. And you know, trying to
Yeah.
understand the London Underground all in
It's a
all,
lot.
and yeah, it's a lot. Um, it is easy to just go, oh, just forget it and then miss out on this opportunity that I really
Mm-hmm.
would have enjoyed.
Yeah.
Which I've done a lot in the past. It's like, oh, it's too far for me to travel. I need to go on my own, or I'd feel guilty making someone else go with me, like that kind of thing. And I think this year I've just really been like, what's the worst that could happen? I
Mm-hmm.
get lost.
Yeah.
Like I get lost. That's like literally the worst that could happen. Just like go for it. And
Yeah.
you get the sense in a lot in this film that she had sort of stepped up and raised her sister and made all of the sort of responsible choices.
Right.
So it's not even like she's choosing between a bad job and a good job. She's choosing
Mm-hmm.
between two good jobs. It's just the other one would push her out of her boundaries a little bit. And
Yeah.
no,
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Now you're over there in England, so you understand football over there, soccer over here. Did you think that it was like pretty accurate to the way that he would be treated and like the way the paparazzi were and people fawning over it? It was like that pretty accurate to the soccer stars there.
yeah, I mean, your David Beckhams and your, all those types of people.
Mm-hmm.
Football culture is a big part of where I live in Glasgow as well. I mean, they have fan days, and I have a friend that goes to a lot of the fan days, and she takes selfies with all of the footballers. They come out and they meet everyone, and it's like swarms of people. So it's not a part of sport it's not a sport that I really follow, but and so I don't understand the fan culture of it completely. But there
Mhm.
are definitely like superstar football players, and a lot of football players that retire, they go into hosting other sports related things on TV, or game shows, or other things. They tend to go into broadcasting, so they are celebrities over here. Um,
Mhm.
let's say there's your sort of your David Beckhams and your Peter Crouches and all of these big football stars, and even the English women, the Lionesses, that won the World Cup. A lot of
Mhm.
them are really famous over here now, which is amazing to see. That the women are getting a little bit of that celebrity as well, and they're definitely like followed by paparazzi and all of that type of stuff. But yeah, I felt like it was really accurate, especially if he's like a hometown person.
Mhm.
um, I mean, there's definitely like I work, used to work in the West End of Glasgow, and a lot of footballers lived around that area.
Mhm.
So it's sort of the posh part of Glasgow,
Mhm.
and I would literally just walk down the street, and there'd be like swarms of people, and it's like because a famous footballer was in the pub, or just like walking down the street, and one fan turns into 20 fans very quickly, because
Yeah.
everybody knows them. So yeah, I thought it was really accurate. And I like that they didn't go over the top with it. I feel like treating them like a boy band member or something like that would have been a little bit too much. But the
Mhm.
fact that it's very, and everybody sort of talked to him as if they knew him,
Mhm.
because he is sort of a local boy.
Mhm.
So it was celebrity, but not in the way of like fawning over him,
Mhm.
like he was their buddy, which
Yeah.
was nice.
Yeah, they were a little pushy, especially like in the autographs and stuff like that. But and he was really good about dealing with it too, about just sort of smiling and and never letting it get to him too much. Like he handled his fans very well. But I can't imagine what that would be like. Where I can't imagine everywhere you go, everyone knows who you are. Like that would be so weird. I'm sure you get
So
used to it after a while, but you go to LA and you see people that are famous in, just like doing normal stuff. And even I, like, who've interviewed a whole bunch of, people and things like that. Like I have a pretty grounded view on, celebrities, I think, compared to some others. Even I am like, oh, look, that's who, who's over there. That's so exciting. And then I think to myself, how weird would that be to not be able to go to like Home Depot and get some stuff for your house without everyone knowing who you are and everyone being like, oh,
so funny. It's like a brief moment, like well, my friend had a funny moment, which ties in a little bit with this movie. We were going to the theater last week, to see 222 A Ghost Story, which if it ever comes to the US, you have to go see it. It's so
ooh,
good.
mm,
Very spooky, and I jumped out my seat a little bit. Um,
I haven't
it's the
heard
first
of it.
time I'd seen anything horror related. Not even horror related. It was just a little bit of a thriller, a little bit of a ghost
Uh-huh.
story.
Uh-huh.
It was really fun.
Cool.
But on the way to the theater, my friend had seen a really famous Scottish actress, Elaine C.
Uh-huh.
Smith.
Uh-huh.
Like everyone in Scotland knows Elaine. Like she's been on TV since we were kids, and my friend saw her getting on the train. They were getting on to come to the theatre, and she was like, "That's a bit weird because most people on this train are headed to the theatre, and it's this show that's on right now. She's not in anything." And so when she'd mentioned it to me, I was like, "Oh, she's definitely going to be in pantomime then if she's like coming into the theatre. She must be
Uh-huh.
training, be rehearsing for a pantomime." And we were literally standing in the queue, look up a big poster for, I think it was Cinderella. And it's like
Oh.
Elaine C. Smith in the pantomime for this year, at that theatre. But yeah, she said we we saw her, we made eye contact, and it was like this unspoken thing of like, don't even like draw attention to me. Like, don't even. My
Yeah.
friend was like, we made eye contact, and it's like I immediately understood that she didn't want anybody to notice that she was on the train.
She's probably super grateful.
Yeah, she's probably like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of pantomime, so they had pantomime here in the movie. They
yeah.
go to the why don't you explain to people a little bit about what that is?
I mean, pantomime's been around for forever. So I
Mhm.
only understand it to the extent that I've been around.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's been around forever, and it sort of originated when there was mainly men playing in theatre, so they had to
Yeah.
sort of have men play the women's roles as well. But for me, like pantomime is just all wrapped up in primary school. Like
Mhm.
the best part of school towards the end of the year was the trip to the pantomime.
Mhm.
So yeah, I saw Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Jack and the Beanstalk was always a classic, and it's just so fun. So you always have a dame, which is explained in the movie. You always have um, your dame played by a male actor playing your dame, and it's just a lot of in jokes, a lot of crowd participation. The kids love it. It's sort of call and response as well.
Mhm.
So if you've seen one pantomime, you know what you have to do for the next one. You know the jokes of like someone's behind someone, so we all call out, he's behind you, and it's you throw sweets out for the kids, and it's just so fun.
Mhm.
I haven't gone in so long. Like I'm really good about doing things on my own. Like if I now these past few years, I've been really good about if I want to go do something and I don't have someone to go do that with, I'll just go do it. It doesn't
Mhm.
really bother me. But pantomime is something that I probably would never go to on my own. It is such a family experience.
Mhm.
And I don't have kids, and it is very much geared towards like families and kids, and a lot of like pop culture jokes and popular pop songs of that like period are sort of
Yeah.
incorporated into it. So yeah, it's just so fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're ever over in the UK at Christmas, you definitely have to go to a pantomime.
Well,
It's so wrapped up in Christmas in the UK. It's like
yeah.
what pantomime are we going to this year?
Well, I mean, and that's what I like about this year with Hallmark is almost every movie has tried to bring in some new form of Christmas celebration, whether it was that Icelandic book thing in Mystic Christmas or um the the assistant to Santa Claus and Joan Noel. Just different. I feel like almost every movie has tried to bring in something new. Christmas Island and the postmark, the letters, things like that. And I just really appreciate that. And so
Mm-hmm.
this was a fun way to bring in something truly unique to British culture.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some people who were upset about it, but as you have so eloquently expressed, like this is a family thing
Mm-hmm.
in there that is a tradition, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
You
I
either
wasn't
go with your
offended by it, that's for
yeah,
sure.
you either go with your family or you go as a school trip. And the school
Hmm.
trips were always so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I thought I had a good time with it. It was something new, something we haven't seen before, and I thought it was all in good taste, and I didn't think anything it was lewd or anything like that. Um, and I liked him introducing himself. I'm Graham, like the cracker. That's funny. He was very endearing. I thought he was very charming.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
charming, and it's very rare that you get an actor that's doing this for the first time that understands the brief, they understand
Uh-huh. Yeah.
what's been asked of them.
Right.
But yeah, and also feel like Sarah, if you follow her Instagram, like she's very into the fact that she's in Hallmark movies.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun to have two people that embrace it.
I was really surprised that with the depiction of the brother character, like the fact that he introduces himself as an investment banker and is in the suit and everything. And I thought, oh, was he going to be a bad guy? Like normally that's a bad guy in Hallmark. And so it kind of surprised me. And that kind of that arc. And, they talk about how Lizzie and Henry are perfectly compatible to each other. And she gets really nervous because because the sister's young and she's always kind of taking care of her. And they have the big kind of blow up in the bar. But I was surprised that they made him an investment banker. That was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they felt like they just had to have something like in this movie. But yeah. I thought that the brother and sister relationship was a little bit, I thought it was really sweet and nice and things like that, but it didn't have the greatest chemistry for me. But I was really rooting for the proposal and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like my focus was too much on the main couple, to be invested in them. But even though they were really cute and sweet, and I definitely would be open to seeing the two of them in other Hallmark movies just to see a little bit more of what they can do. But yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was fun them sort of touristing around London with their dad. And they kept it kind of fresh, and then we also get him kind of, what's he going to do? And the doctor says maybe not a bad idea to figure out what your next chapter is. And so he's kind of stressed about that. I'm afraid if I stop playing, I'll lose the connection to my father. And that was their one way they connected, is because she had lost her mom, he had lost his dad. And so they had that in common.
Yeah, it's always interesting when we have these movies with actors playing athletes, and it's like late 20s is ancient.
Right.
And it's like it's realistic. I mean, I watch tennis pretty much all year round, and they talk about these people as if they're like ancient. That they're nearing retirement, and that must be so difficult, because not only are you sort of being outplayed by the younger players, but you've got all of these people talking about the fact that your career is pretty much over at the age of like 30. So it must be really difficult to think, like, what am I going to do next?
Yeah. And they say that he's the Roy Kent of Newborn. And the thing is he's not at all the Roy Kent of Newborn, because Roy Kent is a grump. He's not a grump at all.
No, definitely not.
He's super friendly and super he would be. I'm curious, over there in England, have they embraced Ted Lasso, or they kind of look at it with like, oh, those Americans and their show?
I'm not sure how popular it is here, because I don't know how many people have like an Apple subscription. It's not probably not as big as Netflix and Disney Plus. I feel like Paramount and Apple and Stars are sort of like, I know a friend of mine, he got the Apple Plus just while it was on sort of promotion. I think he got it for like a discounted price for a few months, and he watched like nothing but Apple Plus just to watch all of the shows. So I don't know. I know a few friends that are really, really into it, but I'm not sure what the overall like UK response to it is. I feel like a lot of people, more than Ted Lasso, are into the Ryan Reynolds
show,
that the Wrexham show. People are really into that. That's like, I think that is like just such reality, an underdog. Though, right? Yeah, it's reality, but it's based on like a really popular football team in Wales. So it follows them, and it's such a good underdog story that I feel like most people are embracing that than they are Ted Lasso. That could be just me. My take on it, but yeah.
I think you'd be hard up to not be rooting for particularly this guy when he helps find her necklace. That whole scene was so sweet and charming. The necklace that her grandmother gave her that goes all the way back, and and she's very upset. And she did a good job, like authentically crying and being like really upset. And it was really charming, not only because it was very thoughtful of her and her needs, but it was also like showing her that his celebrity could be a good thing and could help bring things together. That it wasn't always going to be this like negative thing. So I
Yeah.
think that worked.
Yeah. And the fact that he stood up and drew attention to himself when
Yeah.
the majority of the movie he's been avoiding it,
Yeah.
must have shown her that, he's willing to use it for good.
Yeah. And she had, when she sees that she's in the tabloids, she's got, she gets kind of upset, but again, then him showing that, okay, it's not always going to be a bad thing and we can use it for good.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute.
100%.
Yeah. And I liked the I think her name was Mary, the bartender saying, deep down, he's really a good one. That was sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was sweet. I don't know what the future holds, but you're the first girl to treat me like a person in a long time. We can't be afraid of what could happen. Very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he finds the necklace, drinks her on me. And then we get Christmas. He gets her. So they rearranged the Secret Santa so to make sure that Henry had.
It was
Lizzie.
so fun, that scene.
Yeah. And so he gets her a soccer jersey, and then Henry proposes, and it's really sweet. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing this movie did that I didn't like was the sort of clap after the kiss in front of, like, I find that so cringe. Oh my God.
At least it wasn't in like a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worse when it's a crowd of strangers like staring at you and then applauding.
Yeah. The probably my least favorite. And it was just like this. I kind of wish they hadn't had the stock AI crowd scenes and the soccer scenes. They should have just had the small group, of them, because they looked really cheap.
Yeah.
It looked bad. But she's there 1 year later, and so he's won the championship. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
So we know they're going to be okay. And so that's the movie. I enjoyed it very much. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would go 3.5, 4. I really,
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's The Trouble with Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow. It is the first of the Brook Hollow series. In best-selling author Jennifer Snow's sweet, wholesome Christmas romance, The Trouble with Mistletoe, our heroine learns that you can't say no to a mistletoe kiss, no matter who's under it. Since leaving Brook Hollow and her fiancé Luke Dawson 12 years earlier, Victoria Mason hasn't looked back. She's traded the small-town dream of marriage, kids, and family Christmas dinners for late nights working at a high-powered acquisitions firm, lunches at trendy New York restaurants, and jet-setting vacations on the slopes. So her latest work assignment to acquire Brook Hollow's sporting goods store poses a challenge for Victoria in more ways than one, because it's almost Christmas and she's got other holiday plans, and the owner is reluctant to sell, and the owner is Luke. She needs to wrap up the deal before she gets caught up in her old life and her old love, or becomes trapped under the mistletoe again. You can find The Trouble with the Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow wherever you purchase your holiday reads, or use the affiliate link in the description below. All right, so then we had Haul Out the Holly, Lit It Up. And this one is by director McLean Nelson, writers Andy Sandberg and Christopher Say, stars Lacey Chabert, Wes Brown, Stephen Tobolsky, Melissa Peterman, and it's as the holidays approach, Emily and Jared are looking forward to celebrating the holidays together again. So this one for me, I actually think I liked it better than last year's Haul Out the Holly. And I think partly it was just because I was more prepared for it, prepared for the tone, prepared for, just being very, very, very silly. And so I was just kind of on board from the very beginning of kind of what was going on and what was happening. And I laughed quite a bit, particularly Stephen Tobolowsky and Melissa Peterman. Just, are so funny
Stole
to
every
me.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really good. And I think that also I think that Jennifer Aspen the whole thing with the Johnsons was really worked well. It was very funny. And so that all worked and was, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. If you're looking for a holiday comedy from Hallmark, a true comedy, I don't think we're going to get much better than this.
hmm
What do you think overall?
Yeah, I don't know that I laughed as much as I did in the first one, but I
Uh-huh.
definitely still really, really enjoyed it. Like, oh my God, like Stephen Tobolowsky was so hilarious. And the thing that I was worried about is bringing in all of these new characters and taking away from,
Hmm.
people like, our main characters and taking away
Hmm.
from Tobolowsky and Melissa. And, it's like I need to have more scenes of them, not less. So that was the main concern that I had, but
Yeah.
I thought it was handled really well. And this is still very much my favorite Wes Brown character. Like he's
Hmm.
so nerdy. Like the
Yeah.
glasses just work for him. Like he looks so.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he gets so wound up by things and he's handing out citations, and I just find it to be so hilarious.
And I liked that Lacey was equally nerdy. I don't think
Yeah,
she's ever really been nerdy in a movie, and she was nerdy in this movie, and she was really funny.
and I thought they sort of handled it well, and that she,
Yeah.
was fully in this time.
Uh-huh.
The big, conceit of the first one is obviously trying to sort of draw her into it, and her
Yeah.
being the sort of the ones fighting against all of the all of the traditions. But yeah, I thought they handled it really well by having her sort of lean into that nerdiness
Yeah.
and be sort of um fully in on all of it. Was so fun. Like them both handing out citations this time.
Yeah.
Was so funny.
And I don't know what Jared does for his job, the Wes Brown character, because that ring was huge and beautiful. I
Yeah, the
loved
houses are
that.
huge. The ring is huge.
And I like
I
though
did.
when the one lady it gets revealed that she was with Jared the day before when he was picking out the ring. And he's like, you were there? You were with Oh yeah. We were just hanging out. I happened to
Yeah, the
see
worst
him, you
liar
know.
ever.
She's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't use her as an alibi. She was definitely a really bad liar. Um,
Yeah. I laughed. There's so many funny jokes in this, but the winter hat with no pom poms isn't festive, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that was really good. And then
yeah.
I think it was Jared who didn't have a pom pom. And they're all like, "What's wrong with you? Why don't you have a pom pom?" Oh,
Oh my God, it's so funny. There was
funny.
actually a scene with with Lacey and Melissa where they were doing the training and she was
Uh-huh.
teaching her how to make a wreath. Like I could 100% see Lacey trying not to actively crack up
You're
during that
right.
scene and break character. Like I
Yeah.
feel like there's definitely some hilarious outtakes that we deserve to
Yeah.
see.
And she's like, I don't feel like you're prioritizing Christmas. It's like what? And I may be a simple man, but I don't make simple plans. So yeah, the Jolly Johnsons move in next door, and they're the reigning champions of Ho Ho House.
Yeah, I loved all of the things that they made up, the convention,
Yeah,
the university, like all of these things. It's like,
and there's the whole thing with roof cred. In
mhm.
this, how much roof cred do you have? I thought the Johnsons were a total win. I thought they were really funny, and I think that's maybe also partly what elevated it above the first one. I really thought all the rivalry and the infighting between Lacey and the Johnsons was, I thought, really funny.
Yeah, yeah, and I love just how over the top they were compared to everyone else. Like you think they're over the top, and then you meet this family. But yeah, the gnomes absolutely killed me. Like placing all of these gnomes just 24/7 Christmas music. That was like
Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm having to deal with that in work for the last month of just non-stop Christmas music, so I know how like
Yeah.
frustrating that is. But yeah, just having it 24/7 would probably
Yeah, you're getting like triggered by Rock Around the Christmas Tree. And I really like my famous peppermint bark. It's a power move.
yeah.
Power move. I like it. And then Ned, prepare to engage full jolliness. He's like, this is going in the time capsule. You're a time capsule. That was funny. And they say that the Jolly Johnsons, they say at first all media requests have to go through their art agents. And then I liked that it was funny the HOA rules, that book.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they're like with a foreword by Pamela.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had like this special edition like bound one for them. Yeah.
And they have 2 whole moving vans, one with just decorations for the Johnsons. And of course Pamela has won the cookie contest every year. And they said, we want to make an addendum to the rules that somebody can't make the same cookie every year. And so that so they're shaking things up right away.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
I was going for year 10, and yeah, she wants it. Apparently, if you win 10 years in a row, you get up on the wall. Your photo up on the wall. But yeah.
And they claim that, you have to have made any changes to the rules before the tree lighting. And so that's how they get the out, but they keep pursuing it. And of course, so Lacey's made the bûche de Noël, and Jane Johnson, she comes over with her own bûche de Noël. And we find out that Joe graduated from the Norwegian Santa school. And he's like, Jared's like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then the speaker gnomes. I love Ned doing yoga. That was hilarious.
Yes. Oh my God, that is onesie.
Yeah. And then Jared gives Joe a citation, and this doesn't have to affect our relationship. And Ned wants to unleash defective elf on the shelf dolls. And then the cookie contest only ends up being 2. It's just Pamela and Jane. Victory isn't the same without seeing the agony of defeat in the vanquished. Melissa Peterman, she is
oh my God. Like every line was just yeah. Every line just made me crack up. So funny.
I kind of wish that Reba had been on a different network, because I think it would have gotten more like awards and other stuff attention, because she was so funny in that show.
Yeah.
She was great. And I mean, of course, Reba's amazing, but she was just hilarious in that show. So then we get the divide between the Johnsons and Ned mutinies.
Yeah.
And I do think they could have done more with this Christmas games. I think they could have had a little bit more fun. And I kind of wonder almost if some stuff was cut or something, because you kind of get to the games and then they don't really happen because it's just, it could have been more fun, like the games.
Yeah. It feels like they try to do a lot in this movie though, so I don't know if maybe adding that as well would have been like too much. But yeah.
And then Jane says to Lacey, "I never took you for such a Grinch," and she's like,
like the worst thing someone's ever said to her.
"Our Lacey Chabert is not a Grinch. How dare she?"
No, Hallmark.
And this is when you get Pamela and the Reese, and that was definitely a highlight. That was hilarious.
My God, so funny.
Yeah, and Jimmy, the little boy of the Johnsons, says, "I'm tired of crushing people. Maybe I just want to be the regular Johnsons." And so then Eric Mabius comes back, and that was maybe missing a little bit from the first one. You know, the fact that the first one we had Palaha and Eric Mabius, and it would have been fun to have Palaha be back, or somebody, a surprise cameo, because that was fun last year.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have like a Paul Campbell or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been fun. I really loved Ellen Travolta in this. I forget her character name, but she was really funny too. She's the one who Mary Louise is her name. She was really funny too, I thought. You know, with her, the peppermint bark and everything like that. She was very funny. And Lacey says, "I don't even recognize myself," and so she withdraws because they were going to have a competition to be the goat, the Christmas goat, and I did think it was really cheesy and funny when they do the slow clap when she withdraws, and they're like,
yeah. I was like, they're not going to join in at one point. It's just going to be even more awkward.
And then they said, "We just want to be the Johnsons again." And so then it shows up the horse and carriage, flowers and neighbors with all the sparklers and string quartet, and he proposes and with that massive ring, and it's pretty cute.
Yeah, it's really cute, and I liked it. They sort of had that little moment on their own as well, away from everyone. But yeah, it was nice. I couldn't handle another applause, I guess, in 2 movies in a row.
Right. And we also do get a moment here where Lacey says, "Well, you think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie." And Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Okay,
like Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Like, I don't understand why we have to have this argument like every year. Like, if it's set in
especially
Christmas,
Gremlins, it's literally about a Christmas present. He gets the gremlin as a Christmas present. Like, Santa is multiple times in the movie. It's all in the winter. It's all in, like, it is absolutely a Christmas movie. And then Die Hard, the only reason he's in LA is because of Christmas. He's there to see his family on Christmas. He's there at a Christmas party. It is absolutely like a Christmas movie. He's there for him, even on, like, if you want all the like feels and family stuff, he's there for his family. He's there to try to make things right with his wife, and and
even now, like, I'm not sure about Hallmark, but definitely like other networks are trying to do this thing of like having movies where Christmas is sort of like the background.
Yeah.
So if that's a Christmas movie, then Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Like, if all these other networks are leading into the fact that we don't have to have a movie necessarily about Christmas, but if we make a movie about something and have it set at Christmas, it's still a Christmas movie.
Like, there's some other ones that I sometimes kind of debate, because, like, for instance, I'm doing the modern, me and Terry were doing a modern Christmas movie ranking, and I was like, You've Got Mail, it has a couple scenes, but it's really about a whole year. I don't know if I really think of that as, like, it's not the heart of the story. It's not about Christmas. It's not about a Christmas present. It's not about, there's a couple scenes. So, but Die Hard is absolutely a Christmas movie. Let's end that discussion. But so is Hall of Dolly. I would be up for even more, especially if now we have the Johnsons involved. Let's do a third one. I think it could be really funny. You know what would be funny is if Jared and Emily have a baby, And then all of a sudden, all these like lights and the sound and the noise and all that stuff is like a little bit more of an issue that could create like funny conflict.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they're not as team Evergreen Lane as they used to be because everything's waking up their baby. That could be good conflict, I think. But I'd be up for more. I like this series is really funny.
Yeah. And I feel like it's the first sort of outright comedy thing that Hallmark has done, and it's worked.
Yeah.
So it would
really
be a shame
has.
it would be a shame for them to not continue it.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, I'd give it like a 4.5. A 5. I think
We'd go 4.5, yeah. I'm a full 5 just in case we get like a surprise and something overtakes it. But for me, this is up there with Santa Summit for me.
Yeah, I did give Santa Summit the 5. But just because I looked at that and I'm like, what else could they do? Like, it was so well done. This one, it's 4.5 is a very high score. So I really enjoyed it. So very good. Well, let us know if you're listening what you think of these two. Where do you stand on them? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter, I'm Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps a lot. And we've been trying really hard I've been trying to work on the volume of the podcast and other feedback we've been getting. So we welcome that. So just put in your reviews. We're really happy to get them. And we would also very much appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel on YouTube and like this video. And check out the Patreon, and that's a huge help to us, and the merch store. We've got some new designs this season that you'll really enjoy. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.